So are you excited to try out the game? Well, I sure am, because making the character, it's one of the best part of the game. I really like it. Thank you so much for joining my campaign. It means a lot to me that you're willing to try out Dungeons and Dragons with me, and I really needed another player too, so you're really doing me a solid too, so thank you very much. Okay, so are you ready to make your first Dungeons and Dragons character? Fantastic. Okay, so you told me that you looked around a little bit in the player's handbook and you have like an idea of what you want to do, like generally, and I can just help you navigate all of that, right? Fantastic. In that case, we're gonna be able to jump right into it, and it's gonna be really fun. So, first thing we have to choose for a character. Typically, like anyone can go in any order they want, depending on what they have in mind. But typically, the player's handbook suggests that you would start with choosing your race. So I think we should do that. Okay, just follow the traditional order of filling out the character sheet, and I'm gonna help you through all of that. Don't worry. So your race is well, basically, if you're like a human, a dwarf, an elf, that kind of thing, it's basically what's your ancestry, who are your parents. You see. So, did you have an idea for what race you would like to play? Okay, we're going for half orc. That's interesting. I think it's a race that really attracts a lot of newer players. I think just because they're so cool. I don't know if that's why you chose them, but a lot of new players I would expect to go towards something like a human or an elf, because it's so simple. It's a kind of a classic, but I was really surprised. A lot of my games start with new players playing half orcs, just because it's so cool. It's so different, I think. So, okay, so half orc. The half orc, just so you know, just to refresh your memory a little bit, they are strong people. They tend to be very big. They get half of their ancestry from orcs, half from humans, so they can kind of mix that, have that mix of very brute force and inner strength with a lot of intelligence too, and a lot of the more mental side of humans, which is very it's a very strong mix, basically. That's how I would describe it. So the first thing you get as half orc is an ability score increase. So your strength, which we're gonna do a bit later, gets a +2 to it score. So I'm gonna just write that there so we remember it. And constitution also gets a +1. So we're gonna write that just right here. And when we roll our stats, we're gonna take care of that. Then you are medium size. It's basically the size of humans, you know, from 4 to 7 feet tall, basically, depending on the age. That's around the size you would have. Next, you get a speed of 30 feet. That's pretty standard. I would say most races get that speed. And you also get dark vision. Dark vision is a trait that allows you to, that's hard, dark vision, to see in the dark, as the name would suggest, for 60 feet. a couple of perks that are specific to the half-orcs. You get the menacing feature that gives you an automatic proficiency in the intimidation skill because you are just so scary. And you also get relentless endurance. The first time, every day, basically, the first time you would drop to 0 hit points, you instead drop to 1 hit point. That keeps you in the fight longer. Basically, you don't become unconscious as easily. You stay in the fight just a little bit longer, and you also get savage attacks. Savage attacks. This one lets you add one more dice to your damage when you roll a critical hit. So basically, when you hit hard, you hit super hard. Which, I mean, like, that's pretty cool, right? Okay. So that's basically it for your race feature. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. But with that, we would jump into your class. So your class determines what you do in combat. Mostly, I would say. So it's kind of adjacent to your job in a way. It's your job as a member of the group. So very simple ones go like from the fighter, whose job is to fight. It's in the name. The wizard casts spells, and other simple examples would be like the cleric has divine magic. The rogue is supposed to sling through the shadow and make attacks from stealth, so that's the kind of stuff your class defines. So did you have an idea for the class you would like? You would like to make a ranger? Well, I'm not against it at all, but that's not a very traditional class for a half-orc. It can work very well, and if that's what you want to go for, I would encourage it. Actually, it can be a very fun mix, but the half-orc doesn't get the dexterity a ranger usually takes. Well, yeah, definitely, if you want to make a ranger that's a bit more unconventional, that's definitely something you can do. There is basically limitless possibilities. That's what makes this game so fun. So yeah, definitely, let's go for the ranger. So the ranger is kind of the hunter in a way. It's the class that knows about nature and going through nature, hunting, surviving. That's what they're the best at. And for a half-orc, it can make a lot of sense if you had to rely on yourself in your life, and you had to live in maybe some sort of tribe where hunting was essential. Well, that can make a lot of sense. Maybe also you didn't rely on archery as a lot of conventional rangers did, but as a half-orc, maybe you relied more on your strength and catching preys with just running after them or throwing stuff at them. I don't know if I'm just spitting ideas here. So first thing first, you get hit points. The hit points you get is 10 plus your constitution modifier. So maybe now would be a good time to determine sheet. So what we're gonna do to roll statistics is we're gonna roll 4d6 like these, and we're gonna add up the three highest numbers we get. We discard the lowest one, and that's gonna be the base number of our stats. So let's start this. That's a very good first roll. That's a 15. I'm gonna just write that right over here. Yep, that's right. Okay. We rolled 6 of those because we have 6 different stats: strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. So this one is a 12. Not bad, not bad. Can be very decent for a secondary ability or a less important ability. Okay, next we get, that's a 13. 13, not bad at all. Alright. Then that's another 13. Those are shaping up to be pretty decent stats you got there. Alright, let's see what you get next. That's a 13 again. Wow. Very consistent. Hey, that's not a bad thing. And last but not least, oh, that's a bit lower. That's gonna be a 9. Okay. So, with stats like these, here's what I could recommend you do. Your 9 here is gonna be basically your weakness. So I would recommend you put it in a stat that you find your character could be lacking in that department. Intelligence could be somewhere you think like you're not the smartest. Charisma, if you think people don't gravitate towards you naturally. If you are a half-orc, I would recommend not putting it in strength or constitution. It's a bit counterproductive. But if you want it to be a clumsy ranger, that could really be something very different from what we see usually. Basically, your 9 is gonna be your weakness. Then you're gonna have a bunch of stats that are gonna be like middle of the pack, decent. I would probably put one of your 13s in constitution, because with your +1 that brings it to a 14, and that gives you a better modifier. And I would probably keep the 15 for your strength. That way you have a +3 for your attacks, which is gonna be useful for a half-orc ranger, I would say. That would be probably your best bet. Also, as a ranger, something to note is that you're gonna use wisdom for casting spells later on. So if you want to put maybe one of your 13s here to be able to quickly bring it to a 14, that could be an idea. So, do you have any statistics that you would like to... Yeah, okay. So, that's good. Following my advice, putting your 15 here brings it to a 17. And that's a +3. Don't worry about it. I'll calculate all of your modifiers. You don't have to know how to calculate it. So for your constitution, yeah, one of your 13s to get a 14. That's a +2. So you're gonna be healthy. That's gonna give you some good hit points, which is good if you're planning on making maybe more of a melee play Ranger. Okay, next. So, your dexterity, a 13. Yeah, that's definitely not a bad idea. Now, here is the big choices in your mental stats. What do you want to be good at? What do you want to be not so good at? Okay, we're gonna put a 13 for your wisdom. That's a good choice for your spell casting later on. Now, what is gonna be your weakness? Your intelligence or your charisma? Yeah, that's not a bad idea. So, making an orc that's a bit. A half orc that's a bit. How would you say? Underestimated because of. Well, their race. They're not dumb, but people tend to think they are, and that's why they don't trust them. Yeah, I like that idea, and I like how you're already reasoning in terms of who your character is at their core, what they, not just stats, but also who they are. I like that. Fantastic. So you have all of your stats now filled out. So, for your hit points, going back to that, you get 10 plus your constitution modifier for a total of 12 hit points, which is very decent for the start of the game. Like level 1 character with 12 hit points, no problem there. I had a wizard once, it was not even close. Okay, then you get proficiencies. So you can wear light armor, medium armor, and shields. So you cannot wear a full plate. You're not good with that. You're not proficient in that. But anything like anything like leather armor, studded leather, like those light armor, or even just a breastplate, which would be medium armor. That's the kind of thing you can wear. You also can wield simple and martial weapons, which is basically most of the weapons in the game. You get saving throws, proficiency in strength and dexterity. So that would be a plus 5 here, a plus 3, and then everything is just the same as the modifier. Plus 1, and minus 1. There you go. At level 1, your proficiency bonus is plus 2, so you add that number to the modifier when you have this little, when you have proficiency, if this is dipped or filled, or whatever I decide to do. Sorry, I'm not consistent with how I mark my proficiencies, but it doesn't really matter. So, next you can choose 3 skills from animal handling, which is how you interact with the animals. Athletics, how athletic you are. Insight, which lets you read people and their intentions better. Investigation, which lets you see what happened or understand what happened. Nature, your knowledge of nature. Perception, how well you can see, hear, or just generally perceive things. Stealth, how stealthy you are. And survival, which is pretty standard for rangers and helps with hunting, tracking, and that kind of stuff. Do you have 3 of those those that interest you. Okay, so animal handling, yeah, for sure. The survival, very good choice. And you have one other. Nature. I like that. Good. Fantastic. So that's for your proficiencies. Then you have your equipment. So you can choose between a scale mail or a leather armor. The scale mail provides more defense, but it's, well, very less sneaky. It makes noise basically. Yeah, you can still go for it. So you have the scale mail. And with that we can already give you your armor class, which is going to be a 15. Because the armor at the scale mail gives you 14 plus dexterity up to 2 points. So a 15, which is very good. Then you can have 2 short swords or 2 simple melee weapons. Yeah. Yeah, technically something you can throw is still considered melee. Yeah, you can definitely have 2 hand axes. That's an interesting choice. I like the style of your character. And that's gonna be a plus 5 to attack. 1d6 plus 3 damage, and you can throw them, which kind of alleviates a little bit the problem that you have as a ranger that usually uses a bow. Well, now you have something to throw, so even if you use your strength instead of aiming, that's pretty good. I like that. It works out, basically, is what I'm saying. You also get a Dungeoneer's pack or an Explorer's pack. Yeah, if you want my opinion, the Explorer's pack makes more sense. I don't think you delved in dungeons before as a half-orc. Yeah. As a ranger half-orc, I think this makes sense. And you also get a longbow and 20 arrow for free. Even if you don't plan on using it, it's always good to have it. To be totally honest with you, the longbow is gonna go much further than your axes. Yeah, you can throw with a lot of strength, but it's still not. It still cannot compete. Okay, so that's for your equipment. Now we're just gonna give you a few traits that come with your class, and we'll be done with the class. So first you have your favored enemy. That's a type of creature that you are good at hunting, probably because you do it a lot. Do you have something in mind that you would have just hunted in your lifetime? Yeah, you can definitely just go for animals. That would be the beast category here. So I would say that's pretty versatile. A lot of animals are just beasts, so for hunting you can find those pretty much anywhere. And also you have natural explorer, which makes you really good at going through a particular type of terrain, most likely the one where you were raised. So do you have an idea of where you would have lived? Maybe with a tribe where you had to hunt. What did you have in mind? The savannah. So that would be in the desert, and that's very interesting. I think a very interesting choice. So that's mostly it. You would also have, before you start, to choose a background. If I may recommend, with what you have here, I think the Outlander background would be um, very fitting. Because the Outlander is basically someone that grew in the wild, and that did not have a lot of contact with civilization. You see, so I feel like with what we have here, it would fit pretty well. Yeah. All right. Outlander. So you get a proficiency in athletics and survival, but you already have survival, so is there any skill you would like to be good at besides the ones you already have? Perception. Yeah, definitely. It's very helpful to be able to see what's around you when you're a hunter. Awareness is a good skill for hunters, I feel like. You also get a musical instrument you can play. Nothing in mind yet. That's okay. You can just think about it. And you also get a staff, a hunting trap, and a pouch containing 10 gold pieces, amongst various other possessions. But I'll just